Hello, I'm Rick Steiner. Welcome back to Lux Life Discovered. My guest today is one of our favorites, Todd Anthony Tyler. So, Todd, we're glad to have you back with us today.
Thank you very much, Rick. I'm super excited and honored to be here on your 100th. I greatly appreciate the invite.
Exactly. Yeah, we're glad you're here. 100th podcast. And that's absolutely unreal. I didn't realize that until I was going through all the notes and figuring everything up and realized, okay, we've got to have something really special for this podcast. So we're beginning our men's style segment, which will be a quarterly segment with you. And so we're glad that you're taking the time to do this and sharing your knowledge and your experience of the men's fashion with us.
It's very much my pleasure, Rick. I think a lot of people might identify with me as being primarily that fashion photographer, maybe laid over a little bit with the TV work, but they don't realize in the mix of all that, I've always had a big passion for men's fashion. And of course, it's in line with the photography and the TV work as well. So something that I live pretty much daily, and I love to share with other men on ideas on how to dress, as it seems like for a lot of guys, there's plenty of questions there about what
Right.
to wear and how to wear it.
Okay, so let's kind of begin with the history of men's fashion, and then let's also talk too about what are the pitfalls some men experience in the whole fashion segment all the way around.
Right, right. So, yeah, just briefly on the men's fashion, certainly this is something that's somebody might want to research even deeper because there's so many styles and trends that happen basically following the decades. If you want to start, say, in the 1900s to what you had in 1910, 1920, 1930, we all know how the 50s looks, more self-expression, the 60s, the pretty iconic images of what people were wearing in the 70s. So definitely there's defined styles for each of those decades. I just think one thing that I find really interesting that other people might find interesting is that men's fashion is derived a lot from number one, military. You can go all the way back to Greek, Roman, and Egyptian times, where men's style and what men was wearing was defined somewhat by the military.
Okay.
Combined with that is the functionality. Uh, an interesting little thing why the two flaps on a men's suit is that they're riding horses and you need to get on the horse and you need to have your outfit accommodate you for those kind of things. So the point just there is that anybody interested in fashion in general should dig a little bit into the history. It's really interesting on why we've developed these styles, why we're wearing these styles, why these styles have become iconic, and in particular with the men's fashion scene. Women's scene a little bit different, but with men, like I said, a lot of military influence and functionality influence in our designs.
Okay. Do you think that's more prevalent in certain countries than others? Also,
Yes, because definitely when you start looking at demographics, as in geographically, heat, warmth, just really basic things like that,
true.
what people are wearing, what people are driven by their environments to wear, definitely that's an impact on what's considered stylish and or functional. So there's no doubt that what you're seeing, like for example, when I was living in Asia, what you see across the board, and even perhaps interestingly with Asian men embracing fashion a little bit more than say North American men. In part, that is because of typically, especially in Southeast Asia, the warmer temperatures. Clearly, in North America, we have that down in Miami or California or the warmer states, a little bit less up in Canada because it tends to be a
Right.
little cooler temps. But definitely what you're wearing is driven a fair amount by what environment temperature you're living in, for
That
sure.
makes perfect sense. Yes.
Yeah.
So, what are some of the? How do you, as somebody that's really in the center of the fashion industry, how do you like with certain fads that come in, and the little fads and cycles we go through? How how do you deal with that? Because I'm sometimes some of it is okay, and then sometimes it's like, what are you thinking? That type
Yeah.
thing. So it's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah. Absolutely. I get this question anytime I'm doing a little bit of style consulting with with any guys. Sometimes I do with women, but in particular with men. And the biggest thing is, yeah, Todd, how do I handle these trends? Because like super skinny, low cut jeans is not working for me. Or, the super, like even for me, sometimes things like right now, a bit of a trend is the oversized baggy sort of look. There we can also start to drop in. And I don't like to do this because I don't think people should dress according to their age. I think that's a bit of an older idea. But definitely there are like younger guys that might be pulling something off that older guys are just not into, don't see it, and don't work for their body shape. This
Right.
is
When you were at
no
my age,
doubt.
that would be like looking like a little sack because I'd look short and dumpy, if I tried to do that. So,
Well, one thing for sure is there's a lot of rules, almost physics in a sense, about dressing for your body type. And that can be a whole other conversation. But in general, what you're trying to do is dress your best for your body type. Definitely when we talk about, hey, what's the top trends for spring summer 2024 for men, that's not going to apply to everyone.
sure.
uh, Certainly when you also add into where a fair number of these ideas are coming from, because I know firsthand, I work with a lot of them, the designers are creatives. They're in a sense artists. They also have with that artist mind, they're trying to create something new, unique, even personally affected by certain things that drive styles. Definitely the market starts to even things out on what people buy and don't buy. But when you just talk about going to the fashion shows and seeing what's on the runway and what they say the trends are going to be, this doesn't always blanket the entire community of men, especially when you talk about global.
Right.
So to just get to the point is that I just tell everyone, look, let's say these are the 10 things that are happening right now. Obviously, one of them I just mentioned, baggy clothes. I don't even like to wear baggy clothes. I like to wear clothes that are body conscious for me. What works for you and doesn't work with you? Let's look at your wardrobe. Let's see how this looks on you. It takes a little bit of time. I always suggest definitely trying things on. But not all trends are for everyone.
Now that makes sense. And that's something important to understand because a lot of times you'll see people wearing clothes that are not appropriate for their body types or age for that matter. And of course, we're not, I hate to say that, but like for me, it'd be like if I tried to wear something that a 19, 20-year-old in New York is trying to wear right now. It just would not be the same
Yeah,
outlook. And it's
absolutely. Yeah.
you have to I mean, each person has to realize that for themselves also and realize, hey, this may be, and it looks good on some people, but maybe on me it's not what the desire is.
Right. And that's why I love working one-to-one more so with people, because we have to explore what's working for you, not working for you, what your career is, what kind of places you frequent to. There's a lot of questions on what you're wearing. I always like to go with an open mind. I don't like anyone to like sort of limit themselves, but like
Right.
you said, I don't think you want to be going to perhaps your podcast or one of your events dressed like a 19-year-old fella from streets in New York. People are not going
True.
to
Yeah.
wonder what's going on here. So
Right. They're gonna be
yeah,
like, okay, something's not working here. Yeah.
yeah,
So
yeah.
what's
As
what
much
is
as
it?
I'm for personal expression, yeah, it
Right.
might not.
Right. And, so what is your biggest like challenge when you're working with a client and they either they're too reserved possibly or too open? Do you have that extreme sometime?
Yeah, you have that extreme, but I'm going to say in general, and I really hate generalizing, but men in general tend to go on the conservative side. Unless you're a little bit
Okay.
more, I've been in the fashion scene working on 30 years, so I go with a pretty bold tie and some mixed colors, and I think about patterns and designs and textures because I get a kick out of it. But most guys, and I tend to lean that also in North America, not to beat up on North American guys, but when I'm in Europe or living in Europe, there's also a different aesthetic there. There's also a different sort of feel on the street and what people expect you to wear or see you wearing and what others are wearing. And then I go back to, again, my time in living in Asia and men in general embracing fashion much more and embracing those fashion trends much more, regardless of age, even. So when you come back to North America, generally what I'm dealing with are very conservative men who feel like, you know what, Todd, I want to up my fashion game. but I have no idea where to go with this. Actually, it kind of scares me because I don't even know what direction to go in. There's so much online. And like you said, they will say, I see guys wearing these super skinny suits or this kind of baggy outfit or these hats or whatever, and it doesn't work for me. What to do? So generally, I'm trying to push guys a little bit more than rein them in.
That's good. Yeah. For me, like a black suit or a blue suit, and my out of the box would be a different colored shirt. So
Yeah, absolutely.
I'd be a challenge for you for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's definitely a lot of guys, because especially if we slip into suits for a second, as you know, which we started a little bit with the history. If you go back into history, 20s, 30s, 40s, into the 50s, people wearing suits more so, men wearing suits more so, men wearing hats more so. It was the look, the style, the expectation, maybe sign of respect, perhaps. But now, even if you want to layer in COVID with something more recent where people are not going to an office every day as much, people have moved a lot away from suits
True.
outside of formal occasions. So then when you start to talk about your average guy who's not in fashion business, perhaps, he's like, okay, Todd, there's the unfortunate times where I'm going to a funeral. We kind of know what we're going to have covered there. There's the wedding, maybe a religious aspect, baptism, or some people attending church on Sundays. But most of the time, people are not really sort of suiting up. So what you're also dealing with is, what's the occasion? What do you feel comfortable with? And yeah, if I just go and try to throw you in a plaid suit with a polka dot pink shirt and an orange tie, you're going to say, Todd, I think, yeah, fashion forward, but I don't even feel like walking out. Like, you don't feel confident now. You don't feel like walking out the door. So that's where you have to work with people. Because it just touched there for a minute. The biggest thing to me about dressing up or your fashion sense is also feeling confident, feeling good, feeling confident. So when you're out at your job or in every day, you feel good. It's a mind state of mind that you're in with what you're wearing.
Well, you're a good example of that, because a lot of your photos that you have on your site and from your work, I mean, there are some bold colored suits. I mean, some bold colors and prints and textures, and it works. And but I don't think it would work for me necessarily. But I like seeing the different aspects and the different styles. That makes sense?
Yes, yeah, I think that's part of anyone, which I know you a little bit, that you're a creative person. So, definitely that appeals to people, seeing those different colors, textures, designs put together, which may not, again, work directly for them, but it still inspires, brings imagination, sort of developing into what they might like to do with their own wardrobe. So that's part of it for me. I love and hope to inspire men to, and I hesitate to say dress better, because that's what's perspective of dress better.
Right.
But I mean, think about how you're dressing and how that works for you.
So, like when you're styling a suit for someone or giving them suggestions, how do you bring in the different colors as well as textures and all of that, fabrics?
So if I can use even just a personal recent one with my nephew graduating, and so we're roughly the same size and everything. So he said, "Come to me, Uncle Todd. I need you to style me up, and I need to borrow some of your suits." So that's a great example, though, because he's a little bit shy. He wants to be fashion forward, but definitely a little bit of a shy guy.
Right.
And no doubt going to a graduation and some sort of after events, peer pressure. What are you wearing? I'm just getting to the point, though, that in the end, I got him into a pink suit, which he loved. And he had so many compliments, and it was way out of his sort of almost comfort zone. But it was amazing, because when he came back, he was so super excited about his experience, pretty much in general, based on what he was wearing and the reaction they got from what he was wearing. But the way that I eased him into it is, of course, we tried about 3 or 4 suits until we got there.
Right.
And combination with shirts and ties and pocket squares, working him up to that moment where he felt, you know what, I was liking that, but yeah, I think I'm really into this, and I'm going to take this one.
Did you get it back?
It took 6 months, but I got it back.
Especially when he
Yeah,
likes it that much. It's like, well, wait, now, don't forget,
yeah,
I let you borrow it. So yeah,
yeah, exactly.
no, that's
But then
good.
it's about developing that as well, and your confidence level moves up, and your eye develops and changes with
Yeah,
time. Well, if you're just moving from the white t-shirt and jeans to suddenly kind of semi-casual or dressed up, there's a bit of a leap that you have to make.
right. And even if you wear the same style suit, same color suit, same everything, you still have that confidence, but you don't have that air of confidence that you should have. It's just like this is, status quo. And sometimes you need that both, whether it's bringing it out in a tie sometime, some people that's like being bold, changing the color of the tie or the whole fabric or design, whatever. And that may be the first step in them going into something completely different.
Yeah, completely. That's a small steps on it. Maybe it's just even going with some crazy socks under that black suit. Just
Oh
like
yeah.
you're just starting to express yourself a little bit, and you got a little peek of the sock, and it's like, oh yeah, there's a little style expression for you
What
right there.
what do you think about the tennis shoes with the suits?
Definitely that.
I don't mean to put you on
I
the spot, but yeah,
Yeah, no. It's
it's
just
a
because I'm definitely of two minds because I come from slightly gentleman conservative side on some aspects of styling,
right.
and particularly that's like a nice leather shoes or quality shoes. Doesn't necessarily have to be leather. And then some of the like that's actually a style trend, current
Oh
style
yeah.
trend, athleisure mixed in. We call it high low, or some stylists people can call it high low, where you're mixing in some sporting gear with, say, a suit or something like that. I like it because in some occasions for me, that's been a little more comfortable, a little bit edgy, and where I'm going if I'm like really in the cufflinks and tie situation, I might almost put people off. But if I'm still in a nice suit and I mixed in something a little softer with some athleisure or the running shoes,
And okay.
uh, it's okay because not only do people feel like I'm a little bit on trend, especially if it's a fashion event, but I think it makes you more approachable a little bit. And I say this again from my experience in North America, a little bit more than say Europe. Asia embraced it a little bit more. Europe maybe a touch less, depending on the crowd. Uh, but it wouldn't be my first suggestion if someone's coming to ask me to suit up, but it is a current trend, and I don't hate it. I think
Yeah,
it has its place.
and I was going to say it does have its place. It depends on the event, also the person wearing it as well. Because again,
Yeah,
if I try to do that with tennis shoes, it would just not have that same look. But I'd still have the same style pants that I have now, and it's all about the tighter legs or the more fitted legs look better with that, or in my opinion.
yes,
So
absolutely.
yeah,
Yeah, that would be a whole essentially to work those shoes in. It's a whole suit revamp.
right.
Depending where you're starting from, but in general, like you just said, a little more like the super super tight suit. I think that's gone like a year or so ago. I think even for me personally, I think that was too much, and I didn't even really get it.
Nobody
But
needs to see that on me. No.
but I think the contoured body conscious suit is a good look because it doesn't just for anybody. It just doesn't fill you out on complimentary.
Right.
And in general, with your shoes and your whole look, it's more streamlined look. Generally speaking, for anything design wise, generally speaking, that's a good approach.
Okay, and let's talk about some summer trends. Then what are you seeing for summer?
Okay, so one of them we basically touched on there with the athleisure mix going in. I think I think this is going to stick around for a little while, but you're definitely seeing it in 2024 again. Another one is more tech related clothing and gear. That's a little bit still in the sports direction, not obviously so much in the suits, but you are seeing it a little bit actually in the suit material with the stretch and with the fit. So a little bit more tech material going on. Another one, which I have to say, personally, I'm not a super big fan of, but it's still going on, is muted colors. You still see people doing a lot of greens or military green,
Right.
rust browns. You're going to see that going on still for a little while. You see that on the runways. You see people dressed like that. I personally go with a little bit more colors overall, but you see that. What's been happening for at least 5 years, maybe even 10, is just the personalizing of everything. We started off in put the combo in that direction, realizing what works for you, taking elements of different style trends and mixing those together to update your wardrobe. So you're doing a wardrobe update based on your personality, your character, what works for you, where you work, and all that, that sort of thing. Definitely with the suits, I would say that the sort of smart casual, which has sort of gone into called chic casual now, you still see people kind of elevating their style without totally suiting up, but still with a nice fitted pant, a nice fitted polo, or a nice fitted polo with a suit. So you're not going full on tie and cufflinks, but you still have that sort of chic casual, as they say, look that's still elevating your overall casual look. I think you're definitely seeing that in spring summer 2024, and that's not going away anytime soon either.
Okay. So and tell me if you agree with this or not, I like seeing people dress to reflect their personality, which goes back to the confidence when they're wearing something. There's a gentleman, he may be a co-host on one of my podcasts soon, so I'm just going to throw this out there. But he dresses for his work with the suit jacket, everything suit, but shorts with it. And he pulls it off and it looks great. I could never do it. But again, it goes back to the confidence and the attitude that he does it with, because
absolutely.
look at him sometime and I'm thinking, how did you come up with that? And I'm thinking, you actually look sharp. I'm thinking all this to myself, and then knowing that I should never do it, but yet for him, it works, and he does great with it. So,
yeah, absolutely. I tried that myself previously. Overall, like the look. I don't know if that's something for me I want to do every day, but
right.
definitely when you go out to the bigger fashion events, and I in particular see this a little bit more in Europe. Yeah, you see guys dressed with the shorts and the suit sort of top,
Yeah.
and it works. I'm assuming in part as well. He feels more comfortable in the warm environment that way
Oh
as
yeah.
well. So that's part of it, and just it's simply again some things like not everyone can dress like Lenny Kravitz. That's his,
That's right.
that's his look. That's his. I just saw a video of him the other day. He's working out in the gym in biker boots, leather
Oh, I saw.
pants,
Yeah, you
and a
post.
mesh. Yeah,
Yeah,
he's
and his
and
beast
his
at the
trainer
workout too. Yeah.
sunglasses on. But he's training hard. He can pull that off. I don't know if everyone could pull that off. So
Right. So when you go,
definitely again, character.
yeah, definitely. So when you go to a fashion show, when you see some of the new trends or new styles that some of the designers have come up with, do you ever sit there and just think, "Oh my gosh, what is this?" Have you ever had those thoughts?
A little bit, but definitely from all the years with the photography and working the fashion industry and working with these designers, I know in particular with the fashion shows, this is a show. That's part of the point, right?
Yeah.
They want to show how their mind designs and how it works, and it's art. A lot of times, especially again, if I reference back to Paris or Milan or in Europe, even the London fashion shows, it's kind of an art exhibit that you're going to mix with fashion. Some of the shows are ready to wear. They're just showing this is what you buy off the rack and this is what we're selling this year. But in particular with a lot of those bigger designers, it's not, it might be an essence of what the new collection is going to look like, but they're putting on a show. So I have that in mind anyway, is that they're showing the fabrics and maybe crazy designs. So they catches people's attention and creates imagination again. But yeah, a lot of it this pretty bold character too to be able
Yeah.
to get up and wear it. I mean, it's
Right.
not
Well,
exactly
and
where.
thank goodness.
And I think that's.
I
Oh,
was gonna
sorry.
say, no, I was gonna say, thank goodness we have those creative minds that do that, because if not, a lot of your work would not be as exciting, because you'd be shooting just brown suits, black suits, and blue suits, that type thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Those are those beautiful designs that they come up with clothes. That's an element of any fashion shoot or show, for sure. I mean, that tells part of the story, and what you're conveying in an image or whatever. So styling and designs, and that's why I'm so into it, because I know how important it is with the photography aspect of fashion photography. It's a powerful and important aspect, which then applies, of course, to most people's own lives, and how you apply it to what you have in your closet and how you dress yourself.
That's true. Well, I tell you what, thank you so much for kicking this new little series off. We're going to do it quarterly, and it's going to be fun. I'm excited because there's so many things that we can talk about with men's fashion that I
Oh,
think
absolutely.
hasn't been even touched yet. So not just with us,
No,
but
we
a lot of
can
different
dig
things.
deep on.
So yeah. So we're going to put your
Definitely.
information on the screen. So make sure that you tell people how to reach you and which Instagram account is best to follow you. Your Perfect Chemical there, or The Perfect
For
Chemical.
fashion
Yeah.
and men's style influence, yes, absolutely. At the Perfect Chemical, and anytime they can go out to my toddanthonytyler.com website, and there's a lot of different information on my men's style, but other aspects of what I do.
Okay. Do you have a blog also? Or
Yes, if they go to toddanthonytyler.com, you'll see that there's a men's blog where we
okay.
post weekly style tips on there,
All right.
and continuing to evolve and develop.
Okay. Well, good deal. Well, I will be in touch with you. We'll talk more about what we want to cover the next time. But I do appreciate you being here, and especially being on my 100th podcast. That's great. I appreciate it.
No, thank you very much. Again, very honored to be invited back, and I always love speaking to you and excited to talk more about men's fashion.
Okay. Well, that concludes our episode of Lux Life Discovered. So make sure you follow us on YouTube, subscribe, and we'll see you next time on Lux Life Discovered.
Check out Lux Life Discovered on Facebook and Instagram, and on 30a.tv. See you next time on Lux Life Discovered.